And we're back. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Smart RV with your intrepid host, Joe Symmes from Fixin RV, and I'm joined by my good friend, John Vanek. John, over to you, sir.
Welcome to episode 3. Here we are as we move forward, trying to offer tips and advice for everybody involved in the RV industry, whether you are an RVer or a technician. We got plenty of exciting things coming along in the future. So here we are. And if you've joined us in previous episodes, you know that we always start off with our segment Beside the Pedestal, where we offer some simple but very important tips for new and even experienced RVers who might need a little refresher on a few things. So, Joe, what's your Beside the Pedestal tip this week?
Yeah, John, I love this section. A lot of our listeners, viewers love this section, the beside the pedestal. That's where you park the RV. That's where your heart is. You know, who doesn't want to be beside the pedestal?
That's right.
So my beside the pedestal tip this week. It's hot. Currently August, and I think everywhere in the U.S. is hot in August. So no matter where you are, your air conditioner is a priority. And so we're kind of going to focus on that a little bit. And as a consumer, easy beside the pedestal DIY tip is your air conditioner is all about airflow. You have to have good
Yep.
airflow going in the intake, the air conditioner that can then cool it and supply you with cool air. And if you don't have the right cubic feet per minute volumetric flow, everything else breaks down in the entire rest of the system. That's kind of the basis. So my tip of the week is to make sure those filters are clean. You can different ACs work differently, but basically,
And which filters are you talking about, Joe? I mean,
yeah,
which?
great question. That's the intake filters. Will be in the roof, plenum, in the ceiling. So different ACs operate differently. Some don't even require tools. You can just snap them open with your fingers. Some have maybe a screwdriver to pop some little fasteners free. But those filters are designed to come out, designed to be serviced. Cleaned, washed off. Sometimes you can just kind of dry brush them. Others, it's no problem to rinse them out and, of course, have them dry good and then put them back into place. But if you get that dust and dander out of there, it sometimes doesn't look like much, but it will help your AC breathe much, much better.
Well, we're going to be talking about 3 or 4 different things related to air conditioning units today. But kind of in part with what we're going to be discussing a little bit later, is it important to understand what's going on inside your particular rig, and how that might impact the filters getting dirty? That could be the environment you're in, if you have animals. Do those things come into play?
A lot of people think they might, but no, it really doesn't matter. Your AC will work no matter what you know about it. I'm just kidding, John. uh, our viewers,
You
our
scared me,
listeners are
man.
well informed.
I was scared there for a while. Okay.
Our audience is well informed. They know what's going on, and are inquisitive bunch. And so you all, since you like to learn, we're here to teach. And yeah, you bring up a great point. If you're in a dusty environment, if you're desert camping, if you've got bunch of feline friends, a couple canines on the floor at your feet, you may want to watch for pet hair and dander, dust, things like that. Certain when we get into wintertime, you've already got some horror stories. I know we're going to talk about that a lot more with furnaces, but with air conditioners, it's almost as important. So the intake being up high on the roof, you're not going to have as much of that floor dirt kind of stuff, but you still want to watch, keep those filters clean, make sure you're managing your ACs. If you've got multiple ones, the front can often carry the load. The rear can carry some of the load. That you can kind of balance the two by playing with the thermometer. Some people like it ultra cold in the bedroom, that kind of thing. I know plenty of my customers with big Class A's, especially diesel pushers. The hardest thing to cool is that front end because with a giant windshield, and especially in the summer in the South, they have a lot of heat gain through the front there. So that's kind of my tips as far as managing your particular air conditioner.
Okay. Um, my tip of the week is a tip that bears repeating all the time. And I was reminded of this just a few hours before we started recording this episode. I received a text from a client who is having a lot of odor coming from their black tank.
Oh
And
no.
particularly for people that are living full time or just staying in a campground for maybe a week or 2 weeks, but you're not moving every day. Um, uh, Still, a lot of RVers think that you can open the valve for your black tank and leave it open, and go ahead and use your toilet. And that is not the way RV black tanks are designed to be used.
Yeah,
They
that's
need to.
bad.
Everything's going to dry out. You're going to increase your chances dramatically for having odor issues, and even worse issues. But we'll leave that for another episode. But the point is that you should be putting plenty of water into your black tank. Keep your black tank valve closed. After you've dumped the toilet first time, or the most recent time, I try to put in a gallon or two of water before I use the toilet at all.
Yeah, I
Then
do
every
that same
time
thing.
we use it, push down the pedal and flush everything, and then continue to let it run for 15, 20, 30 seconds. Lots of water in the black tank is important. And then also to make sure you have at least 3 or 4 inches of water in the toilet bowl when you're done using the toilet. And also keep your gray tank valve closed while you're using your sinks. And when it comes time to clean the black tank, dump the black tank, then open the black tank, let it flush out, then open the gray tank, let that water run out because it will clean out your hose, close up everything, and put more water back in the black tank and the gray tank to kind of seal off any debris that's inside the gray tank also. And again, start using it, but do not leave your valves open. And I know, um, quite often you'll go on to different forums or Facebook groups for RVers, and people will say, I leave my valves open all the time. I've never had an issue. And that may be the case, but I'm going to bet money that that's the minority. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree, and I'm guilty of that sin when I was just a baby RVer on the gray tank side. I knew to leave the black closed, but no, best practice is definitely keep them both closed. You're gonna have to dump the gray depending on your rig and what's going on, maybe daily, but it's all good. It's exercise for the valve. You're not going to wear it out. Keep it lubricated. Keep the seals used to flexing and kind of use the upper part of the tank, so to speak, as you fill it up and prevent the oils and kind of other stuff from accumulating even in the gray side. But no, I agree. Follow the same principles myself. And just to kind of reiterate one more time, because you said it, but boy, is it important. Even after you dump, especially on the black side, close everything back up and then go ahead and put your foot on the pedal if you have one on the toilet and run some water in there and go ahead and start out. Maybe a few gallons, 5 or 10% full or something. Don't try and eke out every inch of volume out of that black tank. Go ahead and preload it with some fresh, sort of kind of fresh water, so that you're never working with a dry tank.
That's the key. Do not let your tanks get dried out.
Right.
And as I said, I've got a photograph that I'm going to show in a future episode.
Oh no,
Um,
not a black
to
tank photo.
It's a black tank photo,
Oh
and
no.
and yeah, we'll leave it for a future episode. So moving on.
I can hear the subscribers running away.
Yeah, probably. There you go. Moving on with our call of the week segment. And this is our segment where Joe and I kind of reflect on calls we've had within the past week, hopefully, and some things we could learn from it. And I've actually had 2 calls in the last 10 days that were very similar. Both were clients that were saying that their air conditioner was not cooling or not cooling well. And they really weren't able to give me a whole lot of information beyond that. Um, and really what I'm going to talk about a little briefly here is we all need to understand the capabilities or the capacity of
Mm.
our air conditioning systems given our environment, the size and type of our rigs, and other conditions. So in the first case, this gentleman had a motorhome. He had two ACs. He was telling me that neither seemed to be cooling very well. I'm located in northern Nevada. Last week, we were looking at temperatures of 98 to 101.
Oh,
He was
wow.
in a RV park that has smaller trees, not a tremendous amount of shade. And basically, I explained to him that I recommended that he turn his ACs on earlier in the day. And I talked to him about the size of his rig. He has two units. It takes time to cool down. You've got exterior sun beating down on the RV. And so, sure enough, I couldn't get out there to look at it, but I said, you know what, give these things a try and get back to me. And 24 hours later, he got back to me and he said he didn't realize that just by turning the AC on earlier when the rig was cooler, that it never got above 85 and then it cooled down to the point where he was turning off his AC because it was too cool inside. And it was just really more of a lack of his thinking and understanding of all of the different factors that come into play. Similar call that I actually went out to, same thing. Client
Well,
says,
wait a second, John. I'm a little confused on that last call.
yep.
ACs come with an off switch. I don't think anybody in South Mississippi knew that.
Well, that's because you and the people in Arizona run your ACs 24/7,
Yeah.
360 days of the year.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Yeah. All right. In beautiful Douglas County, Nevada, at about 5,000 feet above sea level, usually we're really lucky and have 30 to 35 degree temperature swings during the day. So, it can be, 100 during the day and then down into the 60s at night and things can cool down
Wow.
some. So that helps. But yes, there is a way to set your thermostat so your AC will shut off at 75 degrees if you get there.
Remarkable.
Okay. All right. Um, but the second call, a woman calls me up and says, "Hey, I don't think it's working. Come out and look at it." So I go out and first off, and this was a new to the client fifth wheel and not a whole lot of previous RVing experience. And this was a 33-foot fifth wheel with only one air conditioning unit,
Wow.
one Coleman Mach, which already puts us way behind the power curve here. The RV also had 8-foot ceilings,
Oh my
so it
goodness.
was very high. And again, it was just a matter of explaining to her what the difference, what all these things are that can impact the performance. And a key thing for all of us to understand is really what should we be getting out of our air conditioner. And one of those things is what we refer to as the delta T, or the difference in temperature between the air being taken into the unit, the return air, and the discharge side, which is the cold air coming in. And Joe, I know, you and me and all the other techs out there, when we're looking at ACs, the first thing we probably do is we pull out our digital thermometer. We stick the probe up
Yep,
into
yep.
one side or the other. It doesn't matter. I try to start off on the return side so I know what's the temperature of the air that's being sucked right into those filters that you just mentioned, and then let it stabilize. So I get a temperature reading there. I know what the temperature is of the air coming in. Then I move over to the discharge side. And ideally, we're going to get somewhere between 20 and maybe 25 degrees difference. The air coming out, we want it to be 20 or more degrees cooler than the air being sucked in. If we're really lucky, I mean, I've had rigs where the return has been a 27-degree difference. What's the biggest
Wow.
difference you've seen?
Yeah, that is unheard of in a very humid environment
Yeah.
like we have down here. Our goal is similar. 20 degrees is great. 18, 19, that's fine. I think the most I've ever seen is probably 25 degrees or so. because as you were alluding to, it air conditioners make cold air, obviously through the air conditioning cycle, but part of that is removing moisture, and that's asking a lot of British thermal units, BTUs of energy transfer for these RV rooftop ACs to send in warm, moist air and get out extremely cool and extremely dry air. So they do the best they can, but yeah, to answer your question, 20, 22 degrees or so is a good running AC in the South.
And again, if you don't, Joe is in Gulfport, Mississippi. Joe, what's kind of this time of year in August, what's your average humidity?
Yeah, that's thanks for asking it that way because our temperatures are probably not even as hot as you. It is consistently in the 80s, 85. Yesterday's high was probably mid 90s. I think I saw about 97, 98 in my truck on the way home for my AC call. But the humidity is is what matters. We start out the mornings 80 or 90%, at daylight, and only drop down to probably 50% or so
Mm.
in the dry part of the day, and then spikes right back up in the evening to the point that it's actually, I was working on a roof the other evening, and you say, hey, it's later in the day. This is a good time as far as the heat of the day has passed, but it's 6 o'clock in the evening or so, there's starting to be dew form and everything starts getting wet again. And the roof actually starts getting slippery even before dark. So you have to watch out for that.
See, that's why I don't live in the South. The other day coming home from a call, it was 94 degrees and
Oh my goodness.
15% humidity. So, gotta love the high desert. Um, so going back to my client, the thing that, I helped her understand was that one, she's really behind the power curve because the rig that she purchased only had one AC. And then she had these high ceilings and, it just, she didn't realize that what it took to perform. And while we're
Well,
having this
John, just let me throw
discussion,
in real quick here
yeah,
for the audience to compare. So we'll deep dive on our own rigs at another time, another episode. But I have a 25-foot Airstream. The interior ceiling height is probably 6.5, 6'8" or so, and I have two ACs. So 25-foot long, no slides. We'll call it 6.5-foot ceiling height, and sometimes it can even struggle with a 13.5 and a 15,000 two Dometic Penguin 2s on the roof. So this poor lady, she's got way less than that with way more volume.
yeah, yeah. And during the conversation, she kind of had this aha moment when she said, well, so is that why people start turning their ACs on earlier in the morning around here? I'm like, yes. That's
Yeah,
exactly it. So, you know what? Once she understood what the issues were, then she's like, okay, I get it. And I believe things are meeting her expectations now, and she's much cooler environment because she understands the limitations, and we all have limitations, as you just pointed out. 25-foot Airstream, no slides, low roof, relatively speaking to her, and 2 units. And, you're not always as cool as you would like to be, but you
right.
choose to live in Mississippi. So what can I say? So enough about my calls. I think you also have an AC related call of the week.
Yeah, yeah, I'd like to throw in an AC contribution here. I've got a customer who uses his trailer as I don't want to call it a seasonal. He vacations to it, so it's permanently set up on a spot at a nice marina fish camp here, and he travels in, stays in on a weekend, and goes. He was here last weekend and said, called me up, said, Joe, my air conditioner broke. I'm going to be gone. See if you can fix it while I'm away. So I went and the symptoms he said were, it sounds like the fan's trying to start but won't.
Huh.
So I get to it and the customer's not there. So I have to recreate the issue and try and work on it. Of course, when I get there, there's no AC on. I open the door and it is stifling hot inside. Um, so turn on the AC and it immediately just has a motor trying to start sound, but no joy, no nothing spinning, no air flowing, just a hum. And many experienced techs might first go to, oh man, sounds like the capacitors are not working anymore, not
Hmm.
giving you that bump start to get the fan or compressor running, and that's what I thought too. So, but I checked them just a few months ago, and they were fine. Went to the roof just to be thorough, test the capacitors. Nope, they were within acceptable limits, no problems there. But while I was up on the roof and had the shroud off, I reached down and grabbed the fan. Obviously, the air conditioner is off here, no
Hmm.
safety danger, and tried to spin it because we know that it should spin freely, and sometimes different opinions, different techs on whether you should or can oil the fan shaft there out of the electric motor. But sometimes I like to put just one little drop right where the shaft comes out of the motor, and went to spin it nothing. That motor
Totally locked
was
up.
locked up tight. Yes. With two hands and lots of force, I think I turned it a quarter turn and said, "Yeah, this motor is bad." So, priced him out a new motor, ordered one. It came in, went back out to the rig, and was able to swap out the old motor for the new one. Pleased to say I got it all into place and kicked it over with my finger, and zoom, it spun around for the entire rest of the time while I was putting the cover back on. It was just spin, spin, spin. So came down inside and put power back to it, flipped on the thermostat, and sure enough, it lit off and was running great. But
Excellent.
back to kind of our point earlier, by that time it had gotten to be the thermometer. I took a picture of this. The thermostat on the wall actually said 105 degrees, and this is inside, folks. I did exactly like you describing. I was wanted to get a good delta T measurement, make sure everything was working. So up at the ceiling, it was because it was a little bit more shaded area and whatnot. Believe it or not, it was a few degrees cooler, so we'll call it mid 90s. And as the compressor came on and it ran for a couple minutes, I was able to get down to about 75-degree output air. And believe you me, when you're standing in mid 90s to 100 degrees stifling hot humid air, that 75 felt like a dream. But I was able to properly conclude that the air conditioner was working great. That 75 may not sound like much, but put it this way, when you're sucking in 100-degree, spitting out 75, it's not going to be long with the doors closed and everything sealed up till it's pulling in 75 and putting out 55-degree air, and that's where the delta T matters, and the snowball effect, if you will, and can cool down your rig in no time.
So, Joe, coming back to the motor itself, how old was the air conditioning unit, or do you know?
Yeah, that's a great question. I didn't get the exact age of it, but it was only 2 or 3 years old. It kind of surprised both of us that that motor had gone bad that soon.
Did you see a lot of corrosion on the shaft? Because, and obviously
Yes.
you're very close to the ocean, and if the gentleman lives, in that area, it's always exposed, certainly more so than what my clients are exposed to. But I've seen rigs that have resided or spent a lot of time on the Pacific coast, again, just exposed to the sea air, saltwater air, more so than high desert environment. And it's kind of striking to me how much corrosion you can see on a motor shaft that's only a couple of years old under those conditions. Your
Yeah,
thoughts?
yeah, excellent point. And this, technically near the water, would be best described as the bayou. Um,
Hmm.
very, 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 very far southwest Mississippi, to the point that I was looking out across the swamp at Louisiana. I mean, we were right down there at the bottom corner. Um, Lots of commercial fishing in and out. Lots of shrimp boats and things like that, and crab pots everywhere. But he had even noted that, yeah, my frame is already starting to rust pretty good. He's probably only 20 yards from the edge of the marina and the water.
Mhm.
Um, so pretty harsh conditions as far as corrosion goes.
Yep. And the general humidity, again, even if you're not near the ocean, the general humidity probably contributes to that also, or potentially. I'm
Yeah,
not a
exactly.
metallurgist.
E- Exactly. Our only kind of rust advantage down here is we never salt the roads in the wintertime. But other than that, it stays pretty humid.
So that's something to keep in mind for our owners that get up on the roof on occasion to inspect their roof and also may inspect the air conditioning unit. If you are ready, willing, and able to get up on your roof, um, knowing how to take the shroud off, it's usually just 4 to 6 bolts, depending on the model of air conditioning you have. Get it off, and that will allow you to see the motor, the fan. Again, making sure that there's no power coming in. You can flick the blade, and hopefully it will spin quite easily. You'll know that your shaft is operating, and will also that's a good time to check your coils because make sure that they're clean, which is a whole other issue with ACs, which we'll talk about maybe in the next episode while it's still warm. We still have a couple of warm months ahead of us, particularly in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, exactly. I like that idea. We'll go into more of a AC deep dive in the future, but yeah, it's AC season here for at least another 6 or 8 months.
And then you're back into the next AC season. I think
And
the Gulfport non-AC season, didn't you tell me it lasts from December 29th to January 2nd or 3rd, something like that?
yeah, that sounds about right.
So, the Smart RV podcast is not just for RV owners and enthusiasts, people looking to get into the RVing community, but it's also for RV technicians like Joe and I, and all around the country. The technicians, whether they're mobile or they're working in shops, and so occasionally we want to share some tips for technicians. So, Joe, I think sticking with our AC theme for the moment here, I think you had a tip for technicians.
Yeah, I really like anytime I'm looking at electrical circuit. Obviously, you're checking voltage. A lot of people know that, but I'm a big fan of trying to measure an amp load when and where you can. Will also kind of reveal what kind of load is being asked of the motor, fan, whatever. In this case, I did a quick amp draw test on the new motor once I had it on and running, and was right around 12 amps. That's the purple wire going into the motor. Pretty easy to pull that out of the bundle and find it. And I thought, yeah, okay, that sounds about right. Kind of rule of thumb, we're right in there. But if you didn't know, and I did this just to kind of confirm, I walked around on the other side and bent down, and sure enough, there was the manufacturer's sticker with RLA. And of course, we know that that stands for rated load amperage. And so what that is the maximum you should see in pretty extreme conditions, which I was in. And I was proud to say that the RLA on this was kind of 18 amps or so. So still right below that, even
Hmm.
though it was running extremes, I knew everything was going to be okay. So that's my quick tip for other techs out there is don't be afraid to check an amp draw. It can tell you a lot about what a compressor, in this case, I was looking at the motor, but you can test a compressor also. Um, s- Sorry, quick point of correction. That purple wire is for the compressor.
Oh,
And
I'm
mine,
sorry.
it
Yep.
was
Yep.
a red wire on the
On
fan
the
motor.
motor.
But
Yep.
yeah, you're able to check both of those independently then. And of course, if you don't have a lot of amperage on a compressor, that might indicate that the freon is gone. And so therefore, the compressor is an electric motor also. It's not seeing a big drag on it because it doesn't have a big load because it isn't compressing a bunch of freon. So you don't want to have too high, but you don't want to have too low of amperage. So that's why I like checking amperage, John.
Always good to check amperage. And sticking with the electrical theme, um, I'm going to offer my tech tip is that as a tech, one of the tools that I am using more and more often is a simple load tester, a battery load tester.
Uh,
And because if you can go and you can test a battery with your multimeter, and it might tell you they have 12 volts or 12 and a half volts, but just this week, I spent way too much time going down a rabbit hole that I shouldn't have because I didn't have my load tester with me. Went back with a load tester, and these batteries tested at about 12 and a half volts until I put the load under them, and they went all the way down to the bottom, zero, dead, 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 dead. Okay. And that was the problem that it was giving us problems with the water heater downrange. And so, good thing to have as a tech is a load tester. I'll leave it
Yeah,
at that.
I like that, and very timely. I had a customer with a starter battery, similar situation last week, and I can't help but say, a lot of these RV tips are also good, just general electrical advice. I my own personal motorcycle. I had a hard time starting it the other day, and I'd flip the key on, the headlight comes on, no problem. Put my voltmeter on it. Oh yeah, it's like 12.6 volts. Yeah, no problem. I pulled the battery out, put my load tester on it, and like you said, as soon as I put it under load, bam, it just dropped to nothing.
And there you go. So you have a new battery in your motorcycle then.
New battery is on order.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
see when it gets here.
uh, well, so as we move forward with the Smart RV podcast, we're going to be offering you new and exciting ways for you to solve problems with your RV, because part of RVing is embracing the problems and the challenges that come with every RV sooner or later, no matter what you do. It's it's something that when we're new to RVing, it can be frustrating and infuriating. But the sooner we shift our perception to one of wanting to learn more about our rigs and understanding how they work and being prepared with a few tools and a little bit of knowledge, and all of a sudden things can become much less stressful, and we
Yeah.
get to enjoy the excitement and pride when we overcome some of these issues ourselves.
That's what it's
And
all
some of
about.
us get to the point where we decide to become RV technicians
Yeah,
just for
no,
those reasons.
I love that, and if nothing else, by learning a few of these tips, you can be the hero at the campground. If you're in company and other people around you are having issues, I'm a big fan of RVers helping themselves.
There you go. It's probably a good way to pick up, some free adult beverages, or even, non-alcoholic beverages, when you can help people out. And sometimes the simplest things can make the biggest difference.
Absolutely,
So with that, we're going to call this a wrap. We thank you for joining us for episode 3. Joe,
and
we'll be talking to you soon here, buddy.
yeah, don't forget, you out there in audience land, if you have any questions or comments, we now have an email address. You can contact us at contactus at smart-rv.com.
And that's in the show notes. Contact us at smartrv.com.
Smart-rv.com.
Smart-rv.com. It'll be in the show notes. Contact us at smart-rv.com.
Excellent. Looking forward to
Excellent.
hearing
Thanks,
from you
Joe.
all soon.
All
Take
right.
care, John.
Take care, buddy. Talk to you
Bye.
later. Bye-bye.